Today's date is February the 27th, 2024, and I am truly honored and blessed to bring back to the broadcast Carolyn Mansfield. Carolyn, welcome to the broadcast.
Well, thanks for having me back on, Christopher.
Well, it's a pleasure to see you, love. So we're bringing you back here because we have something very special. We originally did the initial interview at the 35-day mark surrounding MasterPeace and how it was removing the forever chemicals and, more importantly, graphene oxide. And now we're proud to be able to finally bring before the world today the results after the 90-day study. So I will turn it over to you to explain to everybody the wonderful and incredible results that we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, it was just amazing. We saw just incredible results at the 35-day mark, and now we retested again at the 90-day mark. And again, all these compounds have come down further. So it's just such an exciting journey to be on with MasterPeace, to see how their product really does help mitigate these toxins from our system. So let me just share the screen with you again now so I can show your audience exactly what the update is. So I'll just run over the study again for those who maybe haven't seen the previous video. With the MasterPeace product, we had 3 test subjects, and we took a baseline blood sample for each test subject to see what their graphene oxide, forever chemicals, and plastic levels were in their body. Then they took MasterPeace for 35 days, which was 5 drops twice a day for 35 days. And then we retested again at the 35-day mark. And we showed those results in a previous video. And you can see how these markers came right down significantly. But we've done now the testing at 90-day mark, Christopher. And, it's always very nerve-wracking opening up the test results when they come in, because we don't know what we're going to expect to see. But I was absolutely blown away to see that all the markers again had come right down. So it's an ongoing mitigation, because we are continuously bombarded with chemicals on a daily basis, the forever chemicals and the plastics. And it would also appear to be the graphene oxide is something that we're having to deal with daily. But you can see that by taking MasterPeace, it's really helping to keep these levels down. And I just want to go through the individual test subjects results, which I can just show the baseline and the 90 days. So you can see how these results are just absolutely phenomenal. So if we look at test subject 1, whose graphene oxide, you can see here, Christopher, was 509.55. It was in the very, very high range, which is just highly toxic for this client. And her 2 forever chemicals were in the high range, and polyethylene and polypropylene in the borderline. Now, if we go to her 90-day results, you can see this graphene oxide is now right down into what we call the tolerable range, although there is no tolerable range for graphene oxide in the body. She actually had a 90% reduction in graphene oxide at the 35-day mark. Her forever chemicals have come down by 58%, and her plastics, her polyethylene came down by 92%. So this is huge reductions. In test subject 2, the graphene oxide again, this isn't the previous test subject 1, was a vaccinated individual with 2 AstraZeneca vaccines. Test subject 2 is non-vaccinated, and her graphene oxide was as high as the vaccinated. So we know that this is coming at us not only from these vaccines, but also in our environment. And her forever chemicals were very high, and her polypropylene, one of the plastics, was very, very high. And when we look at the 90-day results, we can see that now her graphene oxide has come down to 65. Wow. So that is an 88% reduction in graphene oxide.
That's unbelievable.
It's really amazing.
And normally, Carol, if I just cut in, normally I believe if people are doing these detoxifications, to see these type of results, if they're going to get there, it usually takes a year or more, does it not, with people in treatments?
Yeah, it really does. I mean, usually when we're looking at, say, heavy metal toxicity testing, we would really look, the first retest to do would be at 3-month mark, a 6-month mark, and a year later. These things take a long time to draw out the body. But I just want to emphasize here that the testing that we've done, which is an intracellular toxicity test, no one has done this test to test for graphene oxide because these labs around the world won't test for it. And it was just the fact that I have collaborated with a lab that is testing with it that we're able to get these results. And it's very, very difficult to even find labs that will test for the forever chemicals as well and the plastics. So this is why this is quite phenomenal, because people don't realize that we have this graphene oxide in us. And as I've explained before, when I was trying to find a lab that would test for graphene oxide, I phoned just about every lab in the UK. The answer came back, no, we don't test for it. And I would ask why. And they said, because it's not in the human body. So I thought, well, how can it not be in the human body when we can see it's in a lot of these shots? Scientists around the world have been confirming this. So what happens to it? So I knew it must have been in there somewhere. So, this is what's been so interesting doing this study for MasterPeace. Not only the remediation, but also the fact that people have this in them, number one, right? But this tested subject number 2 is 88% reduction in graphene oxide, 62% reduction in the forever chemical PFOS, and an 88% reduction in the plastic polypropylene. So we know it's working. And let me just go to test subject number 3, who started off with, he's a vaccinated individual, and his graphene oxide wasn't as high as the other 2. So his was at 203 to begin with, but he had very high ranges in the forever chemicals and the plastics. And when we look at his results at day 90, his graphene oxide came down also to 148. So he's been brought down into the tolerable range. His forever chemicals PFOA was a 93% reduction, and his plastic, the polyethylene, was a 72% reduction. So when we look at these plastics also, for example, I mean, they're in our everyday life. They're in the foods. If we're buying foods that are store-bought, biscuits, cakes, anything that's pre-cooked, it's all in plastics. When we're having drinks in containers, hot drinks, buying them from Starbucks or Costa Coffee, for example, they're lined with plastics, these cups. Even the straws are lined with plastic. So we've got this transfection happening on a daily basis, but we just want to make sure we're not building up these plastics in our system, because they are obviously linked to a lot of health conditions, including endocrine disruption and cancers. So very, very important that we bring all of these levels down. And we did touch on the graphene oxide in the previous videos to where we're getting transfected from. And we know that it's in medications. I've shown that already in some pharmaceutical drugs, specifically antibiotic capsules, have got the graphene oxide in them. But through drug delivery, we know that. Through different bioimaging, but also there's now patents out there, and we know this through zeroengineering.com, showing that this graphene oxide has been used or potentially is being used in cloud seeding. So we're breathing it in, we're ingesting it. If we've decided to take shots, we're taking it straight into our bloodstream. And we just know how toxic this graphene is on our system. There's thousands of studies and over 700 symptomologies associated with graphene oxide. It should not be in our body. And one of the things it does, in one of the studies, is shown that it activates the platelets, causing this blood coagulation, which is one of the main problems that we've seen from people taking the shots. So, is it to do with the mRNA or is it to do with the graphene? This is the big question right now as to what is actually causing a lot of these health problems that people are having. But there's so many studies showing the upper respiratory effects, right? It's highly toxic, causing inflammatory responses within the body. So it's not good to be in there. So anything that's going to help to bring out this graphene is so important. And this is just one of the studies showing that it's a thrombus-inducing properties, you know, with this thin graphene oxide sheets. Yeah,
And
so
for people at home that may not understand what thrombus means, could you just explain that?
it's basically blood clotting. So let me just show you in this next slide. You can see here, this is a hydrogel structure, which is made of the plastics, the polyethylene glycol, which the MasterPeace is managing to reduce, and the graphene. And that produces these sort of graphene ribbons. You can see the structure that's being produced out of this hydrogel structure. And you can see how the blood is coagulated around it, right? More so on one side than another. There is this polarity, but we can see we've got rouleaux stacking together the red blood cells and total erythrocyte aggregation here on the left. And when the blood is like this is, you know, it's heading towards a thrombotic event, especially when in the plasma, I don't know if you can see this, but drilling down, we can see this fibrin formation because there's now inflammation in the body. So it's given out by the liver. The acute phase proteins give out this fibrin. And then when we're talking about this study, you know, the thrombus is to do with the platelets being activated. I haven't got a slide here for you, but you see these activated platelets. They're very different. Everyone has platelets in their blood, but when they become activated, you can see that they form, you know, a bigger conglomerate of platelets, and then they have these complexes around them. And this is highly sticky in the blood as well. So if we've got the platelets activated, we've got the fibrin from the inflammation, and then we've got the blood coagulation, we're heading towards a thrombotic event, which is blood clotting. And this is what we have seen around the world, you know, this the blood clotting issue. So you can just see it so well under live blood analysis like this. And I think this is as far as we were going to go, you know, today to discuss the results, Christopher, because I want to also discuss with you how this graphene is affected by the electromagnetic frequencies that we're all subjected to and bathed in our environment right now. But that's probably for another video.
So that's incredible, Caroline. We were also talking because this truth and information, we are really the point of the spear here. Robert Young, I'm bringing on just after you, and we discussed yesterday, he informed me that the graphene oxide is on all our clothing and it's not coming off, and they have a camera. I believe he's going to be bringing a picture with them today showing all these orange dots, and you were alluding to that as well. You've seen something with that, with a type of ultra V light, I believe you were talking to.
Light torch, yeah, the medical grade 365 nanometer torch shows this up. Yeah.
So we've, like I said, it doesn't get any bigger than this. If it's all on our clothing and it's not coming off, it's not being removed. You know, I said, you know, sort of jokingly, but also serious, I guess we're going to have to come out with MasterPeace detergent. And Dr. Robert Young was like, absolutely. But I believe into your presentation here, it's showing people that this is definitely a battle. Like, this is not going to stop until we're able to actually stop these people that are doing this to us. But in the interim, you know, at least trying to protect ourselves, this is very important what MasterPeace is doing.
Yeah, I think, you know, what's so important is we can see that MasterPeace is bringing everything down to the tolerable ranges, and not to say tolerable is tolerable, but at least it's keeping these levels low whilst we're trying to deal with the environment. And that's what's so important. And I think this is the biggie to take away from the study, that, you know, I don't know if we continue to take MasterPeace for another 6 months, everything will come down to zero. But I think that's a really hard step to get to with this, with what's going on in our environments. So anything that's going to keep it low is a winner, in my opinion.
Completely agree with you. Caroline, thank you so much for being with me here today. And I look forward to bringing you back in the near future and following up, because I know we still have the test studies ongoing, and this data is only going to increase. So God bless. On behalf of everyone here in Canada, around the world, we love you for everything that you're doing. You're such a light to this world, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Christopher.